never get the girl. All those people now, because it's a digital economy, those people that are complete nerds, I respect them. I'm just giving you a very blunt truth. They have become the most richest, most powerful people in the world because there's no longer, they have the police, the U.S. government to protect you against people, the thugs like you, Pat, and they know that the government, the United States, will protect them against thugs from coming and raping and pillaging their village. That is how smart you are, and the digital people have taken over. So what's happened is now they get super, super rich, and once they are rich, they don't want anyone to feel the pain they felt when they were 12, and they were rejected, and they were picked last, and they didn't get the girl. So they tried to create this artificial playing field now for because they're already rich now. It's easy to be a liberal when you're rich, really fucking easy. You call it a limousine liberal. These people in LA hide behind their fucking gates, okay, and say, open up the country, because they're hiding behind their freaking gates, okay? Let's see how they felt if the people who lived on their property, how they feel about opening up the borders to illegal immigrants, okay? So you have this ridiculous paradigm going on now, or the people in power, yeah, it's great, moral high ground, I'm liberal, rah, 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 because I'm already rich and I'm insulated. Let's de-insulate them and see how liberal they are. All right. So that's the people that are, because of the way, what makes money now, it's an information world. And the people that are making money are those that are just, we're not the people. They want to rewrite the rules of what it means to be They want you, especially Patrick, you wouldn't say you believed in bullying on my podcast. These were the kids that were bullied. All right. They were bullied, these kids. And we disagreed with that. I didn't agree with that. We don't have to agree on everything, right? But the point was,
daughter, which you had an experience with your daughter at 14, 15. I remember that. Yeah.
Right. But you were making a point that was well received. I understood your point you were making. You don't believe she's bullying to the point someone's like going to commit suicide. But I understood you meant that people need to deal with the realities of the world. They're trying to create a world right now where there is no reality in the real world. It's everyone gets a trophy. That's not true. Everyone doesn't get a trophy. If everyone gets a trophy, then you should have all your money, because money is the trophy of adults, right? And you should give back all your money and spread it all around. No one should win the game. You're all communists or socialists, basically. So there's this wild socialist, ideal. And also, it was also from McCarthyism, as bad as it was in some respects. He didn't fully do his job. And while they eliminated a lot of socialists and communists, they didn't get the ones in the educational institutions. And these socialists, they infiltrated the educational institutions of America, and they literally have brainwashed our children. It's been going on for 30 and 40 years, and they won. They won. So now we're sitting saying, wait a second, how did this happen? That's how it happened. They won. They infiltrated this Alinsky type of mentality. They've done all these things. And now Trump was the last, that was the common person who wakes up saying, wait a second, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't seem right. This is not the country I grew up in. What happened to my civil rights? What happened to freedom of speech? Why do I have to agree with a transgender person? And just so you know, I'm the most socially liberal guy on the planet. I don't care who sleeps with who uses what bath. I don't give a shit about anything. But don't legislate to me what I have to accept or not accept. So I think a lot of people really look at this ultra liberal shit, fucking Hollywood scum that are the most self-righteous pigs in the world, self-righteous fucking pigs that it's everything they say, they do the opposite. They're such liars, okay? So self-righteous on everything with global warming, and they're just it's everything. It's disgusting. And people knew that intuitively in their hearts. They felt something wrong, and they voted for Trump. And I don't love a lot of things Trump says, but he's a freaking warrior. And the fact that my president said, how the hell is the post office losing all this money and charging Amazon 1/4 of what they should reach? What the fuck? Am I subsidizing Jeff Bezos' paycheck? What the hell is that about? Like, I can't, when I heard that, now maybe Trump was not saying the truth. But if it's true that they're charging Amazon 1/4, what they're losing 400% in every package they ship for Amazon, I am really pissed about that. I'm outraged because Amazon doesn't even pay taxes. How could this be allowed to happen? What is going on? So like the country that I grew up in it's been destroyed, basically. It's been destroyed from the inside out through corrupt Congress people, corrupt the corruption in government, no term limits. There's so much wrong. There's so much wrong. And even the liberals agree with that the thing of no term limits are just utterly disastrous. Professional politicians should not be allowed to even exist. Lobbyists should be thrown out. I mean, there's so much wrong, Patrick, that it's really sad because you know what? I'm always going to do okay, and so will you. That's not who's going to suffer. You and I will do fine. It's the average man and woman, the average person here that suffers, that barely scrapes by and watches how these, these ultra corporate titans literally steal, just rob them. It's a lot of thievery going on right now. It's like pillaging, raping, literally, the village. The things that were allowed to happen with McKinsey outsourcing jobs to advising to outsource to China. It's crazy, Pat. It's crazy.
So in other words, what you're saying is we got to start a new website called RepublicanNerds.com and start recruiting some Republican nerds.
There are. Peter Thiel's one. Peter Thiel is one.
No doubt about it. So but I think
Elon Musk is another. Musk is another. But these are people who are all socially liberal, like me. I'm the most socially. I am the most socially liberal person you would meet. And I don't care about anything having to do with what a person does with their body, what they believe. I don't care about that. I have no right to, okay? Everyone deserves to be happy and to be able to express who they are, okay? And everyone has the right to be able to condemn them if they want to. Like, that's just like the way it is, okay? And I just don't think it's government's right to step in, and that's where I depart from the liberals. But I agree with the philosophy that everyone deserves happiness and the right to pursue whatever they want, and marry who you want, sleep with who you want, dress the way. Who cares? I don't care.
So, but again, going back to it, man, that's the one part. If there's a messaging that I would give is the following. Here's a messaging I got. When guys come up to me and they say, well, it's not fair. Those guys are doing this and these guys are doing this and those guys are doing this. I said, go compete with them. Why don't you go compete with them? Here's what I mean by that. You got a Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel's not a lightweight, and he's not afraid of anybody. He's a pretty vocal guy. And there's a lot of guys out there. Why aren't they coming together and deciding to compete and putting, like, take the top 10 industries, whether it's a PayPal model, whether it's a eBay model, whether it's a social media model, whether it's a YouTube model, it's an Amazon model, have them start working together, creating a joint venture, put the funds together, raise the money, start these platforms, start promoting them, competing, because the long term, it's not a 1-year play, 2-year play. 10 years from now, if they decide to shut somebody down on one market, they can't over here because we're running on different guidelines.
The best thing that could ever happen to this world is a replacement for Facebook and Instagram. Google is not a monopoly. They're just not, okay? So I understand, as much as I don't agree with what Google did and YouTube did, they're not a monopoly. They're not, okay? They have a huge market share, and I believe they should be utilities. I still believe what I said, but Facebook is a monopoly. It is an absolute monopoly, all right? And there's an evil monopoly right now that needs to be taken apart, okay? It's one thing if you could separate Facebook and Instagram. That would be enough, by the way. That would be enough to resolve some of the problem. But you cannot have Facebook and Instagram as the same company. It is disgusting. Disgusting. I cannot believe it's been allowed to happen. The amount of payoffs that are going on, I can't even imagine how this has been allowed to happen. They've destroyed, like literally destroyed freedom. That one company can now dictate any online success or failure. But how could this be allowed? How could that be allowed? I don't get it. And I think you're right, Pat. I think the best thing in the world that can happen would be for there to be a platform that I would literally jump on it so quickly, and I would literally jump off. I mean, here's the thing. So I use Facebook right now. I use it for my messaging and stuff, and I have a big audience. My life would go on without Facebook or Instagram. It really would. It would go on without. It's a great way for me to communicate with my fan base, and I use it. But I would literally, if there was an alternative, I would hightail it off of there so fast you would not even believe it. I mean, like, I think you would too, right? I think so many people would. Everyone knows it's not right what's happening. It's just not right. It's not right. It shouldn't be allowed.
JB, what's the first news you read in the morning when you wake up? What sources do you go to?
Fox. I go to Fox News and the New York. I go to Fox News, New York Times, CNN, MSNBC. I go to 4, and then I go online, and then I'll go on Facebook and read all the lies on Facebook, and then I go and I laugh and I check back and I look on Facebook to see how much nonsense is on Facebook. It's 98% lies on Facebook. Not and the way they do it is such a joke. Is that their algorithms only show you what you want to see, so they put you in an echo chamber. Their algorithm says, oh, he likes this stuff, so we'll just show him more and more of what he likes. So you end up getting a skewed. They're out to divide. Obviously, they're out to divide and destroy the country. Facebook. It's the most evil place I've ever seen. It's so evil. I really believe that. I think it's evil. I don't know if he meant it to be, but he's obviously really, there's something unwell about the whole way that operates. Like everything from having algorithms that only show you what you want to see. So all you do is hear people who, that creates, all it does is creates massive polarization. That's why we're so spread apart right now. I think we spoke about that study they did with that, where a professor created 2 profiles. And then one started commenting only liberal, commented conservative, and within 30 days, it was like you were looking at a different news. The world was, one person saw one set of news, the other, that's not healthy. That's not healthy at all. So to me, I think, I don't think Zuckerberg is a bad guy. I really don't. It's bigger than him. It's like, he's one guy at this point. It's just like this gigantic machine, and he can't possibly be up on everything that's going on. But I think there's a lot of terrible, terrible people that together have created a culture there that's just awful. It's like this, they have too much power. They really have way too much power for anyone to have. And it's got to be a government. It's got to be a government. It's got to be a utility. It's got to be a utility.
So while we're talking about Gates, your concern isn't as much Gates. You're more concerned about Zuck than you are about Gates.
Gates is. I think Bill Gates is a really well-intentioned guy. I don't agree with him at all. I don't agree with Bill Gates. I think he's a really well-intentioned guy. I don't think he's got any evil. My opinion. I think he's a really good person that really gives back, really wants to give back, and really wants to help the world. I just don't agree with the way he's going. In some respects, I don't agree with everything he thinks, but I don't think he's a bad person at all. At all.
Who do you think?
That's just my opinion. Just my opinion.
That's fine. That's what I'm asking. I mean, there's not a right or wrong. I'm just curious about how you the information right now. Who would you say right now is the most powerful people in the world, in your opinion? Who are the most powerful people in the world today?
Zuckerberg and Bezos.
Wow.
Zuckerberg more than anybody, by far.
You put Zuck more than, based on what premise? Which data? How are you?
So he controls basically most money. Advertising is spent. He controls all the ads. All right, all the ability to what can be advertised, what cannot be. He can tip elections like that by what he allows. This guy can control every election everywhere around the world, except in China because his Facebook's not dominant there. But anywhere that by gaming news feeds, he can what you see, what you don't see. It's so simple for him to control everything. Which of your friends you could communicate with, what you see in your news feed, who can advertise on my platform, what's considered free, what's hate, what's not, what user accept, what's not. How can one man be allowed to decide that? How can one company be allowed to decide that? It's not. I don't think it's his fault. I think he's in an impossible position. The guy. I don't think he's a bad. Like again, when Gates was doing what Gates was doing, I probably would say, oh, he's a twist because he's driving other companies. He was just being the ultimate capitalist, Gates, right? I don't think he was a bad guy. I don't think Zuckerberg has any bad intentions. He's not, what was he? He's not a terrible person. I just think that it's an impossible position for a man to be in. He's tried to run a company and make money. That's what a company is designed to do. But it's gotten to a point where it's become a utility. It's no longer a company, Facebook. This is a way that people are, it's like the information highway. Who owns the highways in the United States? No one. The public owns the highways. They have to. It must be owned by the public. It can't be owned by a man. How people communicate. The same goes with Google. And I think Google is. I would put Google in that third thing. The people at Google are equally as. I think though that they have less. Maybe I'm naive, okay, but to me, there's a bit less power they have in Google. Like with Zuckerberg, YouTube is one thing, right? YouTube is one thing, but I really believe social media is so big, like so big, that, and I think it gets bigger and bigger every single, project out 10 years from now to all the kids. They're only going to use that to communicate and find news out. And I really, I think it's such a dangerous, dangerous thing that's happening right now. And I can't believe it's been allowed to happen. I don't understand. I've lost, you know, I've almost, I hate to say it, but I've almost given up, Patrick. I've really almost given up because at this point in my life, you know, I also have to look out for my own interests. And like, I'm out there, I'm living my life. And like, I mean, how many good years? I got 30 years left on this planet, 40 years maybe. What am I going to do? I'm going to try to take down the institute. I mean, you know, I feel I'm really, really upset that it happened. I'm vocal about it. But I'm not going to sit there and start blowing up buildings. Like, what are you supposed to do? I mean, and you know, and I come with the added deficit of people will attack my past if I come out. So I know that, all right? So like, I don't even try, or else I'd probably be on every single TV station right now. But because of the Wolf of Wall Street has this double-edged sword, I get knocked down too quickly by competing. If I come out with, you know, I just know what's going on, all right? So, and my fans, but that doesn't affect my business per se because my fans know better. But it's just like stops me from, I think, being able to get to say there's some level I can't penetrate at the top yet. All right. And I'm also getting, you know, I'm getting sick and tired of the government just doing nothing. Like, I'm watching them lie and just lie. And I see things like with this thing about what happened with Flynn. General Flynn, and I'm disgusted. How could they not be in jail, the FBI? Went to jail for lying to the FBI. How come he can lie? How come they can lie? Like, I don't get it. Like, these things, it's like I'm living in the Matrix almost. Like, is there something wrong here? Like, is it the not rules of real, like good and bad, right and wrong, justice and injustice, they no longer really apply? What do you think?
I'm just saying you got to keep your eyes open today. For me, a friend of mine called me yesterday from high school. This is a kid I've known since 16 years old. We used to work out when I was bench pressing barely 45 pounds, the bar, you know, when we were skinny and like toothpicks. And he calls me, he says, I've not been watching TV lately. I said, okay, what have you been watching? He says, I've just been watching Valuetainment. I said, okay, what's going on? He says, are you not concerned about the people you're interviewing? I said, what do you mean? He said, Pat, some of the topics you're touching on may not be the best topic to be touching on because it's bringing a lot of attention. You know, people are concerned. Are you not concerned yourself? I said, you know, I'll tell you a couple different things here. For me, number one, I've always, since I was a kid, I've questioned everything. I'm not the naive guy that wants to jump to conclusion both sides. Always, my mother's side, they were communists. My dad's side were imperialists. I'm like, let me hear both of these guys' arguments. Why do you think rich people are bad? Tell me. I want 5 reasons why they're bad. Why do you think poor people are lazy? So I think for me, it's more about watching it very closely and educating yourself and seeing answers. And then at the same time, I got a guy that called me, very interesting guy. You know who this guy is. I'm just not going to mention it for his own protection. He calls me, says, hey, I'm in Hollywood, and this is a very good friend, and he's very, very well known. He's done good for himself. He's been as one of the best in his industry. And he says, man, I'm trying to do this thing in Hollywood. I'm trying to get some opportunities here. But, you know, I'm a supporter of what's going on with the economy and what this person did and what that person did. And one of my friends called me the other day with politics and Trump and all this other stuff. What do I do? I said, do you have 10 million in the bank? He said, no. I said, you don't have money in the bank? He said, no. I said, you want to get into Hollywood? I do. I said, I wouldn't talk until I had 10 million in the bank. He said, seriously? I said, what advice do you want me to give you? If you don't have money, you will be kicked out of the industry, especially in that industry you're going to. You can't just sit there and say, oh, I got a message. I'm going to go out there and do this. Fine. But just so you know, if you go that route, you're going to be in that route for a long time. The biggest thing I'm telling people nowadays is if you want to be able to have a loud voice and not be afraid of what people are going to be saying to you, make sure you protect your money quickly. Go get your money in place and lock yourself up. Then at that time, if you feel a need to want to make an opinion and kind of share some of your belief system, do so. Yesterday, I've always been enamored by the Kennedy family, always. I've always been curious about this Joseph Kennedy guy. I've always been, you know, I'm a Series 7 guy. You and I, we were in the industry. You were doing what you were doing. I was with Morgan. But I've always been curious about Joseph Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, how this family was raised. So yesterday I'm talking to this guy and I say to Bobby, and I say, hey, you got a strong position with vaccine. I said, but let me tell you what your family said. They wrote an open letter to you. He says, really? I said, yeah. I says, well, I know that open letter. So I read the open letter to him. It says, RFK, we love you, but we disagree with you tremendously. So I said, what do you think about your own family disagreeing with you? His answer was powerful. What he says, JB,
What?
powerful. He says, Patrick, you have to realize the Kennedy family has 105 kids. He says, when I was a kid, a baby, and I would come home, my parents had a rule. Every night during dinner, my mom and dad would ask us questions and they would force us to debate each other to the point of arguing. I said, elaborate. He said, my dad would say, do you think LSD is good for you? Do you think every kid should test LSD? What do you think about fascism in Italy? What do you think about communism? What do you think about rich people? You think rich people should give their money back? And they would bring up a topic and everybody would debate. And this guy ends up being an environmental lawyer, and obviously he goes out there and does what he does with climate change, whether you agree with him or not. But the point is, some families want to push the envelope. And if you want to be somebody that's, going and playing it low key and safe, it's probably not a good idea to make a lot of noise. There's two places to be low key. One, get a regular job, just go make a living, get a nice apartment, don't make a lot of noise, follow all the rules, whatever the media tells you, whatever the news tells you, whatever everybody tells you, make 60, 70, 80 grand a year, live a safe life. That's okay. You can do that. Or go make your money, make your tens of millions, go away from everybody, live your nice, luxurious life, and don't make a lot of noise. Then there's the crazies. The crazies can't stay quiet. And I think sometimes the world uses weird people to make some noise. And I know you said earlier, you said every time you come up and say something, people use your past and they say, well, what about you and in the past and what you did? Sometimes a guy like you needs to be more vocal because you can go and talk about experiences that you've had
Right.
that you can't.
And I have been, and I have been, by the way.
I know you
I
have.
have been. Yeah, I have been. I've been very vocal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that, because I was like that with my family about debating things, and I think it's good that there's different points of view. I think the problem is right now is that the day of arguing based on logic is over. All the liberals will do is it all becomes emotion. They just label you as being racist, not caring about human life, not caring about the planet. They have this perceived moral high ground that trumps everything. It doesn't matter what you say anymore. And I don't mean all liberals, but I watch TV and I'm just like, the reason I watch it is that I want to stay informed. I won't just watch Fox News or OAN. I won't do it because then I'm going to get in an echo chamber myself. I want to see what they say. And some of the shit that they say is just so shocking and obviously not true and obviously self-serving. I will say this about Hannity. He is the first one to admit, he goes, I am not a journalist. I am an opinion show. Like, this is like, he says it. Like, this is my opinion. It's not fact. It's my opinion. And then he tries to weave in his facts. But the point is, at least he says it's not. But what's happening right now on CNN is they're actually acting as if they're a news agency. They're not a news agency at all. It's like 24-hour opinionated, and that's okay, by the way. But they should say, hey, the best opinions that fit the print. Like, don't say it's news anymore. It's not news, what they have. It's a joke. It's a total joke. And what that does, and the sad thing is that it forces Trump to act like to act like an asshole sometimes because he has to, because he's almost like if someone pushes your back to the wall that intensely and she's like, oh no, yeah, no, it's just didn't, as if like, I'm like, wait, but Nancy, I saw it. We all saw it. Like, we know you're lying and you're full of shit. What are you talking about? Like, you're just lying through the camera and no one calls around on it. Like, no one just says, Nancy Pelosi, you're a liar. You can't, I'm not saying Trump couldn't have done more, but you can't say that because you were even worse. And by the way, I'm not even saying that you were wrong, by the way. How about this? Based on the information you had at that moment, you believed, I'm sure you were not trying to hurt people by having them come to Chinatown. I believe your intentions were pure. Yes, come to Chinatown, it's safe, don't worry about it, right? But you were wrong. You didn't have the information. But don't try to then rewrite history and say you were ahead of Trump in the it's not safe thing. That's what bothers me. Not that she did something wrong by going to Chinatown. There was nothing wrong with that. She was doing what any politician would do, but then don't try to just lie about it. It's crazy. It's like you're living in an alternative universe.
But do you think any of these things are new? Like, meaning all this manipulation you think is new, or it's been going on forever?
It's much more intense now because everything is recorded. So you get caught all the time.
That's great, though.
That's yeah, better. It is. But what's happening is, though, is that you're now able to see. No one gets away with anything. Everything is out there. Every little thing is analyzed. If someone posts something for a split second and then takes it down, oops, too late.
So let me ask you this, though. Who's getting pushed and bullied more? Are Democrats bullying Republicans, or Republicans bullying Democrats more?
Oh, it's Democrats bully Republicans.
You know what that means, though?
They're the biggest pussies in the world, Republicans.
But you know what that means,
and I'm a Republican.
though?
We are the worst. I mean, the fact that we allow this to happen is just absolutely shocking. I always say, well, I guess the Republicans, though, at the end of the day, they got the guns, so it really comes down to it, they're going to win. But I don't think that's really right. I mean, because, I don't have a gun. But I really am shocked the way the Republicans allow themselves to get pushed around by that. It's like almost insane. It's sad.
But if you look at anybody that is in UFC, almost anybody that's in UFC, and you ask them, why'd you become a fighter? They will typically tell you what happened.
I didn't want to be pushed around anymore.
Somebody bullied me, and I don't want to push around them. So the strength to me is on the opposite side of the Democrats. I don't think they're making themselves tougher, because when every single news station favors you, you don't become stronger. You don't have to debate. Everywhere you go, they agree with you. I think there's an underground of leaders being developed that we haven't seen yet. I think the next 5 to 10 years, the movement's going to be so amazing of leaders being rising up. People are going to realize maybe we pushed a little too hard. That's what I foresee taking place.
What do you mean? Mean on that more conservative libertarian voices will rise up?
100. You cannot bully people like this for too long. You can't do that. People are not going to take it for too long. But most people are tolerant.
Like for instance, like a Candace Owens, would you say?
But you're going to see that times 1,000. Like, not just one. You're going to see 1,000 of them. You're going to see 10,000 of them. You can't bully a community for too long.
I sincerely hope you're right, Patrick, because I will tell you, because I'm literally at my wit's end. I feel like almost like sometimes I feel like the last man standing.
I know.
Because I am very vocal about, like, I'll complain right now because we're just shooting the shit. I'm very vocal about my views, and I take a lot of shit for it online. I don't really care about that because it's like my business and my online doesn't really mesh much. I can say what I want, People, I'm lucky I have a program that's really works well by Salesforce. So people buy these and they hate me because it works, right? But the point is that I really hope you're right. I think the one danger is that at a certain point, if the people that control the infrastructure, meaning the pipes, the information highway, if it gets the way it is right now, it's so skewed to the liberal side of the equation that that you're right, and you're right on one side. You're right. It's forcing us to get tougher and tougher, but they're shutting content. They're removing free speech.
It's all right. Let me tell you why I think it's all right, Jordan. I'm telling you this from a perspective of knowing the following. Say somebody's evil. Say an empires, say Pelosi's evil. Say any of these people are evil. Let's just play that card. Say they're evil, right? She's already there, or she's here waiting for me. It's all right. It's just tell her in 5 minutes. We'll go.
Yeah, I got to go 5 minutes too. So
yeah, so that's good. So let's just say they're evil. Let's say hypothetically they're evil. How long, if they're evil to the opposition, don't you think they're evil, period, or to the people that they work with on a daily basis, to their supporting cast? If you eventually stay like that and you're like that to everybody, you eventually become like that to your own family and to the people around you. And when you do that to your own camp, the worst kind of opposition you turn is those who were once supporters of you, and they become the biggest enemies of you. That's exactly what's going to happen. You cannot bully people for too long. No way in the world. I'm a guy that grew up in Iran, and I lived in Iran for 10 years. We were constantly being bullied, and people would say a lot of different things, you know, well, you know, here's what's going to happen. And I'm a guy that grew up in a family where my dad, who helped a lot of guys, when my parents got a divorce, I went to a Christmas party one time, and the family that we were at, those are the ones that were the uppity and high mighty, and they're doctors, and I'm 25, 26 years old. At that time, I'm barely making six figures. I'm not doing anything crazy with my life. And my dad's working at a 99-cent store. So we're not like, everybody looks at us like, oh, you know, the poor but David family. You know, Jordan, the looks they gave me, I remember it till today. And I said, you will never bully my dad. You can bully me. I'm tolerant. I'm okay with that. You cross my dad, you have a permanent enemy for life. The more they bully, the bigger and stronger the opposition is going to be. So
let me ask you a question.
I just want to tell you, the more and more you're talking, believe me, just as much as you got 80% of your guys that may be getting pissed off at you, there's 20% of them that are underground that just don't want to say anything because they're non-controversial.
Pat, let me ask you, by the way, just so you know, in the last, I made a series of 4 posts on COVID. It went from 90% hating me to 90% loving me by the end.
That's the game.
But also, one more point. Why is someone working on an alternative platform right now to Facebook?
Yes.
Who?
I can't tell you, but yes.
But so it needs to happen.
Yes, and yes, we can talk offline, but the answer is yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I want to be part of that. I want to be part of that.
It's a very powerful.
I will
community.
go on the world. I will literally donate every penny I make when I retire in a few more years, and I will literally support that platform with my last dying breath to write what's gone on, what has happened.
They can't do this for too long, man.
No.
You can't bully people for too long. You're going to piss them off.
Yeah.
And then they're permanent enemies. Anyways, brother, last question before we wrap up. When's the last time you watched Wolf of Wall Street?
6 months ago with my girlfriend. We watched it.
6 months ago. So I'm telling you, every time I watch that movie, I think about my first time I took my dad, and we watch it at the L.A. At the theater. My dad's like, I want to go watch this Wolf of Wall Street. I said, you want to watch Wolf of Wall Street? He said, Patrick, it's a crazy story. We have to go watch it.
I like it like an 85-year-old grandma watching. Oh, he's a bad boy. Let's talk soon, buddy. All right,
buddy. Take care, man.
Okay,
bye-bye.